Thanks for joining us today. While we're waiting for more people to come in, please share in the chat in one word. How would you describe your day today? My day can be described by one word: curiosity. I'm glad to welcome John Haggerty to the Product Time Bellevue community. I'm really curious to learn the application of AI in product management. John, as we wait for others to join, I have a quick question for you. What is the best career advice you have received?
Oh, the best career advice I've received. So I've been extremely lucky in my career to have some wonderful managers and wonderful coaches, mentors along the way. About a decade ago, I was lucky enough to work for Christian Idiotti, who's now at the Silicon Valley Product Group, working with Marty Kagan.
Mm,
Um, he gave me advice that was when I was looking to move up in my career and go from a product manager to a product leader, he told me that um, I don't want to hire you to learn the job. I want to hire you to do the job. And so that advice told me that I needed to get experience and understanding and knowledge and the wherewithal to be a leader, not to be able to then move into that role. So how could I, as a product manager, find opportunities to step in and be a leader, whether it was within the teams I was working on, whether it was with my peers or more junior product managers and helping coach and mentor and lead them, indirectly to get that experience under my belt. It's fantastic advice. And it applies not just in product, but across the board. When you're looking to do a role, they want you to be able to when they're looking to hire a role, they want you to be able to do the role, not learn the role as you're coming in. Yes, you may need to learn the domain. You may need to be able to learn the specifics about how they function and how that team works. But the core parts of the job needs to be things you can do. The you know
mhm.
the adage, being able to block and tackle. The basics of it have to be there.
Definitely, I agree with you totally. Thank you for sharing this advice with us.
Of
All right,
course.
yeah, it's time to start. Hey everyone, I'm Stephen Wang and the co-organizer of Product Tech Bellevue. We also have Bhavna on the stage. She's another organizer. We provide opportunities for product managers, especially those in the greater Seattle area, to exchange ideas and experiences about product design, development, management, and all aspects for managing products. Today, I'm excited to welcome John Haggerty to our webinar. John is a highly accomplished product management leader with over 15 years of experience. John has truly made a name for himself as a thought leader in the product management community, especially in the AI space. He's passionate about fostering collaboration, developing top notch product talent, and creating exceptional user experiences. Today's webinar will give you a comprehensive overview of how AI can be applied in product management. We'll focus on key areas like AI-driven product feedback analysis, churn prediction and mitigation, and the ethical use of AI. Without further ado, let's dive into the power of AI in product management.
Thank you, Stephen. I really appreciate that introduction. As you said, my name is John Haggerty. I'm a product leader. My most recently, I served as the vice president of product management at Highway.ai, a company that was at the intersection of property tech, martech, and fintech. Very interesting company. Most recently, I founded the PM Insider, where I'm doing product coaching and product leadership consultation with companies to help them, especially in the areas of AI product management. What is interesting and what I really want to talk about today, first let me say that there's two sides of the coin for AI and product management. First, there's the side of managing an AI product, what it means to be the product manager for an AI product. That is one subject. Today's subject is the reverse of that. How, as product managers and product professionals, we are using AI today. Please take time in the chat right now. I'd love to hear from you how you are using AI today. What experiments have you been running? How are you leveraging it with your teams? What are you doing? Please add that there. I'd love to see it as we go along. The agenda today, as we dive into it, I want to lay out for you that, first and foremost, AI isn't something that's coming in the future. It's present. It's here today. We see how it's reshaping industries and redefining how we approach product management. As product leaders and product managers, we have a unique opportunity to harness the power of AI and drive innovation, efficiencies, and customer satisfaction to new heights. Over this workshop, I want to explore the fundamentals of AI, its application in product management or product feedback analysis, how it can be used for churn prediction and retention, as well as discuss the ethical considerations that must be involved when we're using AI. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty there and do any of that work, I want to have a discussion and make sure we're all on the same plane about what AI truly is. Asking the question, what is AI, is my favorite question to ask these days. For me, artificial intelligence, or AI for short, is a multidisciplinary branch of science and engineering dedicated to creating systems that are capable of performing tasks that would normally require human-level intelligence. All right, let's break that down. At its core, AI is about replicating and augmenting the cognitive abilities that we as humans possess. Reasoning, problem solving, learning, perception, the ability to understand language, just to name a few. By harnessing the power of advanced algorithms, large data sets, and the ever-increasing computational power, these AI systems can process information, recognize patterns, and make decisions in ways that mimic, and in some cases, even surpass our human capabilities. The impact that AI has is already being felt across a wide range of industries, from healthcare and finance to retail, manufacturing, and transportation. AI-driven solutions are rapidly transforming how we diagnose diseases, detect fraud, personalize recommendations, optimize supply chains, and even navigate our cities with autonomous vehicles. And this is just the beginning. Accenture estimates that AI will double the annual economic growth rates by 2035, while PwC projects AI to contribute a staggering $15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030. These numbers should underscore the immense potential of AI and its role as a major driver in economic growth and transformation. As product managers and leaders, we have a unique opportunity to leverage AI to both drive innovation within our organizations, as well as develop and optimize around operational efficiencies. And that's what I want to dive into with you about how to do that. One of the most powerful applications of AI in product management lies within the realm of large language models. Tools like ChatGPT are becoming increasingly prevalent, and their ability to understand and generate human-like text has the potential to transform various aspects of our work. Effective communication with these AI models is key to unlocking its full potential. And that's where the art of prompt engineering comes into play. The quality of our prompts, the instructions we provide to these large language models directly impact the usefulness and relevance of AI-generated content. A couple weeks ago, I was at a conference and we were talking about this specific situation and these specific skills. And we got talking about what are going to be the most important degrees in the future. And we all agreed, of course, that computer science and data science are going to be at the forefront. They need, high skills. But after that, it was things like English and English literature here in the English speaking world. But overseas, it could be French or German or Spanish, Italian literature, depending on where you're at. But with that, also the next degree we talked about a lot was humanities, and the ability to connect ideas and tie things together, and the ability to use language to bring forward ideas was so important, and it lends directly to this prompt engineering. Prompt engineering needs to be an iterative process that involves both prompt writing and prompt testing. It can be done individually, but my recommendation is when you're doing it within your teams, within your companies, do it collaboratively as a team effort. The goal is to gain experience in creating effective prompts that guide the chosen LLM to generate your desired output. Prompt engineering is an essential skill for product managers who are looking to harness the power of AI for their work. Let's dive into those two primary parts of that iterative process, the writing and the testing. Writing first. To get started, let's choose a common product management scenario. For example, it might be we want to write an AI to help generate product requirement documents, or analyze customer reviews for key insights, or create a press release for a new product launch. The possibilities are endless in how we want to go about it. AI can be a valuable assistant to help in many aspects of product management. Once you've selected your scenario, the next step is to begin just writing a prompt for that AI large language model that you're using. This is where the magic happens. Your prompt should be tailored to your specific task at hand. It should be providing clear instructions and context. The more specific, the more well-defined your prompt is, the more relevant and accurate the AI-generated outputs will be. The language and the words you choose are so important, and I'm going to reiterate and hit on that as more as we go along, but I can't stress that enough. There are many different techniques that can be used when you are crafting a prompt, and it depends on the complexity of the task at hand and the available data you have. I want to cover the three basic, most common techniques and give you an understanding of what those are and my recommendations around them. So first is zero-shot prompting. This is where you give the language model a task without any prior examples or context. You are counting on the model to rely solely on their pre-existing knowledge and the information provided in the prompt to generate the response. Few-shot prompting is the technique where you provide the LLM with a small number of examples, usually less than 10, to illustrate the task you're asking for it. These examples serve as a guide, helping the model understand the context and generate a response that aligns with the task's own requirements. Finally, and my preferred method and the way I like thinking about it, is a chain of thought prompting. This technique encourages language models to break down a complex problem into a series of intermediate reasoning steps. By providing examples that include step-by-step explanation, the model learns to generate a chain of thought before arriving at the final answer, often leading to more accurate results. Or another way to put this is providing the system time to think and understand what you're asking it. Each of these techniques have advantages and can be used depending on the task complexity and that available data, as I mentioned. As you experiment with prompt engineering, you develop a feel for which techniques work best for different scenarios. The one thing I want to say and make sure everyone is aware of here is when you're using large language models, when it starts to answer your question, it starts putting words to page or words on the screen, it's locked in. It is not going to go back and rewrite the text that is provided. So if you ask for it to create a press release and you want the title first, it's going to put that title out there, and then it's going to write the press release after that. The press release is going to be tied to the title that's written. Now, when we reverse that, if you ask it to create an outline first, and then create the press release based on that outline, and then create a title based on that, based on the press release, you create a process in which it has time to think and go about its processes. Once you have your prompt, you want to take it and input it into an AI tool. And let's say ChatGPT here, for example. Please do not be afraid to experiment with different AI tools, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Perplexity, whether it's Claude Opus, the different models that are out there. They're great. They work well for different results, but you want to be able to test and compare and be experimental in your mindset of which one is going to be best here. This hands-on experience is invaluable for building out your prompt engineering skills. Once you have the generated output, the next step is to evaluate its quality and its relevance. Ask yourself, does the output address the key points? Is the information accurate? Is it insightful? Is it formatted and structured, easy to understand and actionable? If the output doesn't quite hit the mark, don't worry. Prompt engineering is and needs to be in iterative processes. Note the areas for improvement and refine your prompt accordingly. You might need to clarify instructions, provide additional examples, or break the task down into smaller prompts. Experiment with different prompt engineering techniques. We talked about, did you start with a 0 shot? Did you try a few shot prompt? Were you doing a chain of thought here? What was the process you went through? Did you get the results you expected, or do you need to adjust? The key is to approach prompt engineering with that iterative mindset. Embrace the process of continuous improvement, of continuous learning. With each iteration, your prompt will become more effective and the AI-generated outputs will become more valuable. As you refine your prompt, take a step back and reflect on the insights and takeaways from the exercise. Think of it as a retro. What worked good? What didn't? What challenges did you encounter? How could you apply prompt engineering to streamline your other work that you're doing? Just remember, this is a critical skill to learn and to be able to leverage and apply it going forward. By iterating on your prompts based on the results, you can fine-tune the performance and truly unlock what's taking place there. All right, let's move on to some examples and show this in flight here. So one of the most valuable resources that we as product managers have is the feedback of our customers. It provides us a direct window into their minds. We can use the power of AI to revolutionize how we analyze and leverage that customer feedback. Customer feedback is our gold mine. It has insights for product improvements, for what needs to be on the roadmap, for what problems need to be solved. It provides an unfiltered perspective of the product experience. It highlights issues, unmet needs, opportunities for innovation. All of these are in there. But analyzing user sentiment and reoccurring issues and feature requests, although is a critical aspect of a product manager's role, the ability to do this as your user base grows, the volume of feedback has increased, can become overwhelming. Manually reading through tens of thousands of reviews, support tickets, survey responses is, time consuming and almost impossible in some ways, but it's also prone to human error and our own biases. So how can we use AI for that? Well, AI-driven feedback analysis tools can be a game changer. They can leverage natural language processing techniques, NLP. These tools can effectively process vast amounts of unstructured text data, including the reviews, the support tickets. Things like sentiment analysis algorithms can gauge the emotional polarity of the feedback, classifying it as positive, negative, or neutral. This classification of sentiment allows us to track user satisfaction trends over time and identify areas of concern and when we may need to take action. You can use topic modeling techniques like latent Dirichlet allocation or LDA and non-negative matrix factorization, NMF. These can automatically discover and group common themes within the feedback data itself. This enables us to surface the most prevalent issues, feature requests, and areas of interest for our users. Excuse me. Aspect-based sentiment analysis takes it a step further. By analyzing both the sentiment at a more granular level, it allows us to focus on specific aspects within our product. This could include battery life, ease of use, customer service. This level of detail can then help us prioritize improvements based on the aspects with the most negative sentiment. Where do we need to improve, double down our efforts to bring that from negative to positive? Named entity recognition algorithms can be used to identify mentions of specific features, products within the portfolio, or even companies when looking at it from a market analysis within feedback data. This allows us to link sentiment to the topics directly for individual product components, surfacing both positively and negatively mentioned features. I like to use this when I'm leveraging things like Rahul Vora's product market fit engine and automating that using open text responses in response to a survey questions, and understanding who are my promoters and my detractors, and can I determine where I need to double down in terms of what the people who love me, what they love, and the people who I can convert to promoters. What are the things that could help improve them? Where are their biggest concerns lying? By leveraging these AI-driven techniques, we are able to gauge a more comprehensive understanding of users' needs, pain points, desires, and this enables us to make data-informed decisions and prioritize our product roadmaps more effectively. How do we do that? Let's do a case study here and see this in action. So the case study here, most simply, is you are a product manager for a mobile banking app. You have multiple sources of feedback here, including App Store reviews, NPS survey responses, customer support tickets. Your outcome, your goal here is to leverage an AI-powered tool to analyze this feedback and identify the top user pain points, along with the possible root causes. By understanding these most pressing issues, you can prioritize product improvements and deliver a better user experience in the end. So here's a prompt I created around this. Very simply, in this case, we want the AI to first identify those top pain points, and two, determine the root cause of each pain point, just as I mentioned. With these objectives in mind, we need to be able to understand, the system needs to be able to understand, what is the task here? What is the context? It's all there, mobile banking app, analyze the user feedback. We then provide the data set, the objective, and the desired output here. This prompt clearly outlines our expectations and provides a structured format for the output. What I'm curious about is, How will the AI respond to this request? To do this, we need to go and test it. We need to put it into a system. We want to see what it is. So we're going to take this over, put in GPT 4.0, see what the evaluate the response, see what it looks like. So I mocked that up. Here's the next screen. This is the results it got from it. Just it's fake data. It was all just to get to a result so I can show you what this looks like. As you can see, the tool did identify for us the desired number of outputs, or pain points that we wanted. So we got our output, the number there. It provided a fairly detailed analysis for each of these. For example, one of the top issues identified here is frequent crashing and performance issues. The language model did provide a plausible root cause, pointing to potential issues with confusing error messages, and a lack of in-app help or documentation. As we assess the results, we should be asking ourselves, are these pain points relevant? Are they insightful? Does the root cause pass the smell test? Does it have a deep understanding of the problem? Is there, truly something that's helpful here? If this output falls short in these areas, it's time for us to iterate on the prompt. I'd like to hear from you how you would consider updating that prompt that we had. What would you add? What would you change in there? I'm going to move on and show you what I did, but please add comments. Tell me what you would want to do. So what I've done here is taken it a step further and tried to apply a few shot prompting methods here. Based on the evaluation I did, I wanted to make some targeted changes here. I want ask the AI to provide a brief description of each pain point. I want it to determine the likely cause, being as specific as possible. And I want to suggest the likely solutions to the product improvements to solve that pain point. Here is the revised prompt. We continue to ask the AI to present the findings in a clear, structured format. That will help me be able to digest and determine whether or not it was successful. By incorporating these changes, we can guide the AI to produce a more target and actionable insights. I see some of those responses coming in. Thank you, EA. Thank you, Morgan, for adding that. This is the end result that I can, after that change there, this is what I put forward. The AI provided us with a clear description of the 3 pain points, specific relevant root causes, and high-level suggestions, just like I asked. However, I need to be able to have some domain knowledge here to understand if these would pass the smell test, if this fits with my understanding of what's going on. With each enhanced insight, we can confidently present our findings to product leaders and the product team to create a more well-rounded, data-informed action plan to address the most critical user pain points. What I would like to do here on that previous prompt is I want to make changes to it. I wanted to now start extracting for me examples. Give me a story to tell with a quote from a user about that specific pain point. What is that looking like? What is happening there? Yeah, I like your idea here is, can the model provide stats related to the insights? Give me a percentage score here of how many users mentioned that pain point. Give it an understanding of why this was pain point 1 versus 2 versus 3. What does that look like in context? Yeah, I love that idea. That was another one I had there. Yes, if the feedback is proprietary, you want to use a secure AI application. I'm using as an example of generic data. That's why I'm throwing it in here. But yes, Amy, you're absolutely 100% right there. For your classification, for your data security, please use what your CISO wants, what your CTO wants, what is your regulatory or internal requirements that are around that. When we look at these results, additional things we want to consider next. categorization and ranking to help prioritize the issues, to streamline the decision-making process. Provide specific number of feedback examples. What does that look like? By following the recommendations and continuously refining our prompt engineering skills, we can leverage AI-driven feedback analysis to its full potential. This can drive continuous improvements and deliver exceptional user experiences in the end. This is a simple way to allow us to take qualitative feedback and go a step further with it. You guys, the discussion is great. You are spot on. Having that additional context and examples is so good. That's why I wanted to highlight it in here. That is the next step in going through this. But as I said, you want to start small and just add and be iterative about it and get more and more information as you go along. Now I want to flip it and go from a qualitative understanding here to a quantitative understanding. Let's look at churn prediction and retention. Customer churn is, so we all are on the same page. I don't want to assume that everybody knows what it is the rate at which customers stop doing business with you, stop doing business with the company over a defined period of time. It is and should be a metric that keeps many PMs and product leaders up at night. And there's good reason for that. It's been that way for me. The cost of customer churn can be staggering. High churn rates lead to significant revenue loss and a reduction in profitability. Studies have shown that acquiring new customers can be 5 to 25 times more expensive than retaining existing ones. Conversely, increasing customer retention rates by as little as 5% can increase profits by 25 to 95%. Excuse me. But the impact of churn goes beyond the immediate financial losses. It can also damage brand reputation and customer lifetime value, LTV. Unhappy customers who churn and leave negative reviews can deter potential prospects from engaging with your product. Moreover, churn can reduce the revenue and that can be earned from long-time loyal customers. This is why proactively identifying engaging with at-risk users before they churn is so crucial. Early warning signs of churn are often evident in a user's behavior well before they actually leave. By detecting these early signals, we often have a window of opportunity to intervene, address their issues, and prevent them from churning. So how can we use AI to predict and prevent churn? There are key data elements and techniques that can be used with an AI-powered churn prediction model. Things like examining demographic, firmographic data can help provide valuable context about who your users are. Factors like age, gender, location, company size, industry can influence churn propensity. By incorporating this information into our models, we can identify segments more prone to churn and tailor our retention strategies accordingly to them. Usage patterns and engagement metrics can also be crucial to predicting churn. Users who exhibit declining frequency of use, shorter session duration, or a reduced depth of engagement are often at higher risk of churning. AI models can analyze things like behavior patterns to flag for things that are showing signs of disengagement. You can categorize your users, whether they're power users or core users or casual users. They move down in the amount of times they're using or the depth of which they're using is an early sign of churn and something to be proactive about. Customer support tickets, customer support interactions, and sentiment analysis of user feedback can also yield valuable churn signals. A sudden spike in support tickets, negative sentiment on NPS or Sean Ellis responses, or a drop in a customer satisfaction score can be indicators of a potential churn with that customer. Finally, billing and payment data can provide insights into the user's likelihood to churn. Factors like declined payments, late payments, downgrading to lower tiers can suggest a heightened risk of attrition. Now that we understand the data types used in churn prediction, let's examine some of the AI techniques employed to build these models. First, clustering algorithms such as k-mean or hierarchical clustering can segment your users based on behavior patterns and churn risk. By identifying distinct groups of users, like I talked about, who's your power, who's your core, who's your casual users, these similar characteristics, you can develop target retention strategies for each of those segments. You can use NLP to apply analysis to sentiment on topics such as support tickets, user reviews, feedback. By extracting insights from that unstructured qualitative data, you can identify common issues of frustration that may drive churn, similar to what we talked about in the qualitative use case. Using deep learning neural networks, particularly RNNs, recurrent neural networks, or CNNs, convolutional neural networks, are well suited for modeling high dimensional time series data. These architectures can capture complex patterns and dependencies in user behavior over time, enabling more accurate churn prediction. Ensemble models, which are my preference here, are able to combine multiple algorithms and models and are often used to improve both the robustness and the accuracy of churn prediction. By leveraging the strengths of different techniques, ensemble models can provide more reliable and stable predictions. So the example I want to use here and talk about a little bit is when I was at highway.ai, in our onboarding process, we did look at what were the keys to success for between our core and our power users, and what did that look like? For me, we were able to actually take that and do that analysis ourselves to be able to look at and determine that there were 5 things that users needed to do within that first week, but they didn't need to do all 5. They needed to do 3 of them. And getting through 3 of those 5 in any combination, in any order, was highly indicative of long-term retention. And that was important to me. I want to jump in and give you a good simple case study here of how you as a product manager can begin leveraging AI to help understand this. And then you can take it and go further, whether with your data teams, your product analytics teams, your data scientists, whoever you have, but be able to get the understanding and see if there's value to go further, to go deeper. So case study here is a mobile fitness app. The objective is to understand which users' actions within that first week are indicative and highly correlated with long-term retention, which we are defining as still being an active user 3 months later. The data set we have is the user activity logs from that first week and their 3-month retention status, whether they're still active or not. Binary there. So to get started, I wrote a prompt here for a large language model to assist us with doing this analysis. The quality of our prompt will directly impact the usefulness of that AI-generated insights. So in this prompt, clearly define the objective of identifying leading indicators of 3-month user retention for a mobile fitness app based on first week usage data. I gave it context, I gave it understanding. It is supposed to be acting like a data analyst for that app. The data set, as I mentioned, is those activity logs, first week time period, and a binary retention status, 1 for active at 3 months, 0 for churned. I've laid out my desired output. I'm asking for an exploratory data analysis to understand the data set and the user behavior patterns. I want a data table of actions sorted by the correlation coefficient. Real simple request here. Once we have that prompt, we can put it into a large language model. We can look at the results. We want to analyze the accuracy, the relevance of the exploratory data analysis. We want to know if it was the appropriateness of the selected techniques that the AI looked at to understand it. The actionability, the insightfulness of the model's results are extremely important to understand where we are going. Based on this evaluation, we can then iterate on our prompt to redefine the instructions and provide additional context and specifying the outputs that we want more clearly. For me, things I'd like to change, but I'd like to hear from you all what you would like to change on this prompt to make it better. Things I'm thinking I want to improve here is I want to request specific types of analysis or statistical tests to be applied to it. I wanted to provide guidance on what we might want to do next. Looking at things like aggregations, ratios, temporal patterns, what that might look like. I want to specify the evaluation metrics for the report. Things like accuracy, precision, recall, F1 scores, things like that could be incorporated. I want to ask for a prioritized list of top predictors with their relative importance. And I want to encourage the AI to consider feasible retention recommendations. What does that all look like? Well, let's do some writing here. Send me your thoughts, what you think would be good. For me, I put in this changes here. So specifically, I laid out more context, more information, and then I laid out the desired actions of what I wanted. Specifically, adding in 3 steps. This is where we get into chain of thought prompting, laying out the exact actions I wanted to go forward with. I'm asking it to present a table with specific columns, what's in those, how it should be sorted, which order of sorting. And then I'm asking it, after it does that data analysis, to then take time to provide me a written interpretation of the understandings of that data, to begin giving me that early level analysis, asking the AI to take the place of a data scientist. For me, working in early stage startups, I haven't always had a data scientist that I could turn to do the understanding. So I've been having to do it myself. And this is why leveraging this helps me get along further in my understanding quicker. Once I have this process in place, I'm able to then take that and assess the correctness, the insightfulness of those calculations. Was the data analysis and the calculations correct? Were they insightful? Did it actually apply the specific structure and format that I asked for those outputs? Was the quality of the model's interpretation and and able to identify those top predictors? How relevant and practical were the recommendations? By iterating our prompts and critically evaluating the AI-generated insights, we can arrive at a more robust and actionable churn prediction model that can empower us to both improve our onboarding experience, in this case, engage our at-risk users, and proactively grow long-term retention within that system. So I really want to just take some time here. I want to reflect on the prompt engineering as a process. I want to reiterate, it needs to be iterative. It needs to involve testing, evaluation, and refinement to elicit the most useful insights from an AI model. Clearly defining the objective, the data set, the desired output format in a prompt helps guide the AI to generate relevant and structured insights. Evaluating the AI-generated outputs from multiple angles, accuracy, relevance, interpretability, actionability, these are crucial for ensuring the quality and the usefulness of those insights. Iterating on prompts based on the evaluation allows us to fine-tune the AI's performance and obtain more targeted and impactful recommendations from that system. By applying prompt engineering best practices, such as being specific, giving examples, providing context, can significantly enhance the effectiveness of AI-assisted churn prediction and retention analysis. By mastering the art of prompt engineering and applying it to real-world use cases like churn prediction, like feedback evaluation, we are able to harness the power of AI to help us drive more data-informed decision-making and optimize our road mapping, our product planning, all of that. So it's time to start thinking about the questions you have from those two use cases. Please start adding them in here. I do want to hit on one more subject before we get to those questions, and that is ethical AI in product management. To me, there is nothing more important than understanding how we as product professionals can and should be at the epicenter of ethical thinking when it comes to AI. Strategies that include mitigating bias, ensuring fairness, and building trust with our users becomes imperative. As we begin to explore and using the power of AI to drive product enhancements, innovation, enhancing our customer experiences, we must address the critical aspect of ethical considerations and how it guides our efforts as product professionals. The one thing I cannot say enough is AI systems are not inherently objective or neutral. The benchmark used for AI today, the goal, the understanding of it is human cognitive function. The biggest shortcoming with human cognitive function is the bias and heuristics that exist in ourselves. They are neither good nor bad, they just are. They are the shortcuts we use to make decisions. AIs reflect those biases in the training data, the design choices, as well as the societal biases that exist. If left unchecked, these biases can lead to unintended consequences and do real harm, such as perpetuating discrimination, violating privacy, and eroding public trust in the underlying technologies. As product professionals, we are ethically obligated to develop and deploy AI responsibly. We must consider the societal impact of our products, not just the business metrics. Our responsibility is to proactively identify and mitigate risks, fostering a culture of ethics and inclusion within our organizations. I am a big proponent of doing pre-mortems, looking at the worst case scenario, what could go wrong, what could happen, and being able to then plan how to respond to it and how will we know if we're going down that way. We've had high profile examples of AI bias that have already surfaced across various industries, whether it's the Compass recidivism prediction model used by the criminal justice system, who has found to discriminate against Black defendants. Amazon's own hiring algorithm exhibited biases against women. Facial recognition systems have performed poorly with people of color, raising concern about their use from law enforcement. And even Apple has faced scrutiny. Their Apple Card algorithm has been accused of assigning lower credit limits to women compared to men with similar financial profiles. These examples serve as a stark reminder of the real-world consequences of biased AI systems. They underscore the importance of proactively addressing ethical concerns and ensuring fairness, accountability, and transparency in our AI products. I have six key points here that I like to hit on when it comes to ethical considerations and strategies around it. At some point, I'm going to come up with a really cool a way to remember these. I don't have it yet, so it's just a list of ideas. For me, you got to ensure diverse and representative training data. You need to audit the data sets for bias, lack of representation. You need to oversample for underrepresented groups, leverage synthetic data generation techniques to mitigate those biases. Implement fairness and bias testing. Define the fairness metrics relevant to your use case and test the models for differing performance across different demographic groups using techniques like counterfactual fairness, equalized odds. The Google What If application is great at being able to test in this case. I also like IBM's AI Fairness 360. Aquitas over in the EU has a bias and fairness testing toolkit that's great there as well. Prioritizing transparency and explainability. Document key AI decision choices and trade-offs. Use interpretable models when possible and provide examples for AI decisions to the end user. Maintain human oversight and accountability. Keep humans informed and in the loop for high-stake decisions. Establish those clear escalation paths and appeal process. Ensure executive accountability for AI mishaps. Dion has a great ethics checklist for data scientists that can become a key here in this human oversight and accountability space. Practice inclusive design and user testing. Co-design AI products with diverse communities. Conduct user testing with those underrepresented groups and proactively seek feedback from impacted stakeholders. You need to establish clear and well-structured governance and ethical reviews. These need to be cross-functional ethical AI review boards. They should require AI ethics training for product and engineering teams and conduct ethical risk assessments at each stage of the development process. By implementing these strategies, we can mitigate the risks and biases of unethical AIs by unlocking their full potential in ways that transform the technology and create value, not just for our users, but for society as well. That's what I've got for you tonight. Thank you so much. I want to take your questions. Please put them into the chat. But before we wrap, I do want to draw your attention to the QR code I've got on the screen here. There's the URL below it. As a product person myself, feedback is what I look for and understanding. This is my product, so I treat it like a product. Talking about discovery here, that's going to take you to a quick survey. It's an NPS survey. 2 questions. 1, the NPS question. 2, open feedback. That helps me understand where I need to improve, what I need to work on. Please send me your questions. What do we got, Stephen?
Thank you, John. Yeah, we're going to have about 5 minutes for Q&A. Please share your questions in the chat section on YouTube. I actually have a question. In the case study about product feedback analysis, how would you ensure the AI analysis is accurate?
Good question. How do you ensure it's accurate?
Yeah.
Talk about the smell. Does it pass the smell test? So as a product person, you should be in there as well in the data and really understanding what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, what you're hearing from users. For my teams, I always required that they had at least 1 touch point a week with a user where they're directly talking to an end user. So they should have that basic understanding of what they're experiencing, what they're doing, what they're hearing. If that feedback isn't matching, if there's a disconnect from what the AI is telling you and what you're hearing, that's where you need to dig into it. Was there a hallucination? Was it something that you used was it language that you used in your prompt that allowed for creativity and imagination, for lack of a better term, by the system? One of the things I learned just a couple of weeks ago talking to a Google engineer was using the word summarize is not best practice when asking for information from data. The word summarize, the system interprets that as it has ability or freedom to be creative and create with the text it returns. Instead, asking the system to extract narrows what it can do and what it can pull, and you get more information from it,
Mm.
or you get more direct information from it. I got
Okay.
like the example directly from my own experience, which was really funny. At Thanksgiving, I had my entire family over, and it was 30 plus people that were coming for Thanksgiving. I was doing the cooking, I was doing the planning. I actually used an AI to help me adjust recipes, create my shopping list, create my plan. When I asked it to pull my shopping list together, there was a hallucination. It added a whole bunch of ingredients that had no bearing on our meal. Cooking a traditional Thanksgiving dinner, for some reason, the one that stood out, pinto beans, were on the shopping list. And I had no recipe with pinto beans. So that's where having some contextual understanding of what's happening, being engaged with your user base, you're going to know whether or not it passes the smell test.
Okay. It's like a human evaluation. Bhavna,
Yep.
do you have any question?
I think in the best interest of time, I could read out the one of the question from the comments.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys are okay, I think it's from Mahib Bala. The question is about in the churn example, what would you do next after you get the analysis results, and how would you use AI to brainstorm solutions? The analysis is only the first step.
Yes, analysis is the first step. From there, the first thing you need to know is what are the objectives and the goals for the company, for the organization? What is your product strategy? Where are you going? Does it fit into there? Does it apply? Are you working in certain areas? Are there certain things you need to focus on? Or do you need to take that information to leadership, to management, to who, if you're the leader, to the board, to help them understand this is what's happening, to get the buy-in across the organization? The other piece of it is, and I talked about this with the engineering, the prompt engineering side, when you are looking at analyzing those results and determining what to do next, that's where you take it to your team. I'm a proponent of the Troika model. You've got the product manager, the lead designer, the lead engineer working together with that. With AI products, it becomes a 4-person model because you need to bring in that data scientist, bringing it to them and helping them and allowing them to digest it, to understand it, and then working collectively as a team is, okay, we've got this problem, we understand it, what are potential solutions for it? How do we overcome it? Then start looking in the solution space for ideas. When you narrow down one solution, you then look at it like, okay, how are we going to measure success around that? What are the business objectives that are going to change? What are we going to move their metrics? Okay, if those are the metrics that are important to us, is this idea that we have, the solution that we're in place, the thing to move them the most and with the least amount of risk and cost? And then you go through the cycle again on it. So there's lots of steps you go through it, but that's really where you begin. It starts telling the story of where you need to go, what you might want to do, and does it fit in with the rest of your objectives, and getting that feedback from your peers, your stakeholders, whatnot, to then decide where we go from there.
That's
John,
great.
there's a question about the feedback case study from Amy. I noticed that in your prompt you used brackets feedback. You can look into the comment on the
Yep, I see
screen.
that.
Right. Yeah. Can you tell us about that and what that function of the curly braces is?
Amy, it absolutely served no function at all other than a placeholder in there. Normally, what I would do is I would upload a CSV file or some type of file directly to the LLM myself, and then I would point it back to. I would say, hey, use the attached file, blah blah blah. In that case, I just put something in there to be a placeholder that I attached something. It was generic one that I threw up together. So.
Another question from Morgan. Any other gotchas to think about, such as example of avoiding summarize for extract when working with AI?
Morgan, the one thing I would say, and I want to reiterate what I said earlier, and this is where it's giving the system time to think. Once it starts writing, it's locked into that. It's not going to put a paragraph together and then go back and like, oh, I want to reorder those sentences. I want to change that word. They don't work that way. Once it starts putting the words on the page, it's locked in. So that's why I recommend putting in using the train of thought prompting to create methods where the system can think. For me, like what I like doing is, as I said, make an outline of this, then create the text, then give it a title, all those things, and just being able to allow the system to think, to do the process, so it doesn't get locked in after those first couple words that it generates.
Great.
Super insightful, John. I think I was using only one-shot prompting and chain prompting, never used few-shot prompting. So I'm going to try that.
And honestly, the other thing, I didn't hit on this too much. I just mentioned it briefly. Try different models. Play around. You might not always be able to use the data or that you get from your company. There are great places out there to get data that you can play with. I like going to Kaggle and just pulling down data and then messing around and playing around with it to see what I can do with it and building my own models within, whether it's ChatGPT. For me, I like going to Perplexity because then I can pick my model I want to use and bounce between models very quickly and efficiently right within one interface.
Thank you, John. Bhavna, do you have any other questions to ask before we finish this?
Maybe one last thing. Could you share any emerging trends or innovations that's happening in prompt engineering area that you are very excited about?
The one that I like the most right now is I really like as I mentioned earlier, I like using Perplexity. I like their pro model because it almost requires me to do prompt engineering because it asks me clarifying questions back as I'm generating that information, as I'm generating the prompt. And before it starts generating information, I really like that where it's putting that intermediate almost speed bump in there before it goes down the path. Does it really understand what I'm asking?
Got it. Thanks for sharing, John.
Absolutely.
That's great. All right. A special thanks to you, John, for sharing valuable insights into AI and product management. And thank you all for joining us today at Product Tank Bellevue. Stay tuned for the upcoming virtual meetups and in-person happy hours in Seattle. See you next time.
Have a great evening, guys. Bye.